Strange things happen every day, and even stranger things happen on the basketball court every day. From trash talk to snide remarks to funny reactions and kissing their opponents, the NBA is no stranger to weird moments. As we already know, professional sports is filled with players with giant egos and short fuses, and this results in some of the weirdest things you'd be surprised to find on camera. Whether it is during a game or a press conference, these moments caught on camera will surely shock you. Ready? Let's get right into the action. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Reggie Miller and Spike Lee. Well, this is perhaps one of the biggest moments in the history of the NBA. Critics have even regarded this 8.9 seconds as that moment in the NBA that created legends and changed lives. It was Game 5 of the 1994 NBA playoffs, and Reggie Miller and his Indiana Pacers were taking on the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. Present at this game was the Hollywood director Spike Lee, who was supporting the Knicks. Miller successfully sunk a long jump shot, one that gave his team a 12-2 run on the Knicks. Spike Lee, he was angry, and he took his anger out on Miller when the player ran past him during the game. While some thought that Miller should have let it go, he didn't. Instead, Miller put his hands up to his throat to show Spike Lee that he thinks the Knicks were nothing but a bunch of choke artists. Quite the boldness in the middle of a game, Reggie. LeBron's hair falling out. Despite his age, there is no doubt in the hearts of basketball fans that LeBron James is one of the best players in the world. He's managed to stay consistent each season, making his mark in each game. However, there's one thing that has not really stayed consistent, and it's LeBron's hairline. Over the past few years, fans and enemies have suggested that LeBron does a Kobe, that is, cut off all his hair and become a bald basketball star. But for some reason, LeBron just won't do this. His hair has been spotted having issues several times, from bald patches in the middle to using his headbands to hold the hair together. It seems like LeBron is going the extra mile to save his hair. He has had a number of hair plugs and has had surgery to repair his hair, but unfortunately it appears as if none of these are working. But this did not prevent him from having one of the most humiliating moments caught on camera in the NBA. During late October in the early stages of the 2019 season, his hair was spotted falling out in the middle of a game right under the headband. Anthony Davis, in a bid to make the fans not notice, pointed out to LeBron that his hair was falling out during the game, but it was impossible for the fans not to notice since the camera had caught Davis making gestures to LeBron and pointing at his hair. LeBron also tried to salvage the situation by trying to tuck his hair back into the headband, but the camera quickly zoomed in on his hair, and we immediately saw that his hair had turned into a complete mess. In spite of what we think about LeBron's hair and it being, well, really artificial, his barber says something entirely different. Nick Castamano says that there is no dye, no additives, no preservatives. Everyone thinks he's dyeing his hair using temporary hair colorings, but it's all his hair. They still don't believe me. I get comments about it all the time. I've become numb to it. It used to bother me. It's not easy to hear that. But since Castamano said this back in 2015, there's a chance a lot could have changed since then. The kiss between Dick Bavetta and Charles Barkley. Well, the NBA All-Star Weekend is usually a time of fun, a time for players and fans to put away their differences and have the time of their lives. The weekend features some of the best sporting moments in the world, ranging from the dunk contest to the three-point contest. Even though we know what the events are, the weekend always finds a way to feel new each year. Most importantly, one of the highly anticipated sections of the event is the yearly Celebrity Game. However, sometimes the NBA goes a little too far by featuring people or activities nobody actually wants to see. This is exactly what happened in 2007 when a race for charity was organized by the league. The race featured NBA referee and senior citizen Dick Bavetta and NBA legend Charles Barkley. We could have watched the whole race even though it was inconsequential and unnecessary. What we could not stand was the kiss on the lips between Dick Bavetta and Charles Barkley at the end of the game. We would never know what the NBA was gunning for. Was it comedy, or did they badly want something the whole world would be talking about? Whatever they intended obviously was a disaster, and it was a really weird moment for fans who were watching live, in the court, and even the ones at home. Barkley would also be teased about it on live TV by Shaq, who told him, "You kissed Dick in the mouth." And yes, he actually did. Westbrook's reaction to a stupid question. Now let's talk about a camera moment that was actually funny. Everyone knows that Russell Westbrook is not the friendliest athlete when when it comes to reporters and interviews. He has made this obvious on several occasions, and he does exactly the same after taking a loss against the Utah Jazz. Westbrook had just finished getting dressed in the locker room, and reporters quickly gathered round to ask him questions. As you'd already see on his face, he was obviously disgusted, but he decided to go on with it. However, one question from one of the reporters immediately made him end the interview and walk out. The reporter asked, "Did you guys lose this game or did the Jazz win this one?" And this is where it gets funny. Westbrook's face will light up with disgust and confusion like, "What?" He then turns his back on the reporter saying, "I'm out, man, y'all tripping." You cannot help but laugh at the absurdity of the question and Westbrook's reaction to it. Of course, this isn't the only time a reporter is being weird on camera. In an interview with Draymond Green, who plays for the Golden State Warriors, a reporter during the 2016 NBA playoffs had asked Draymond a question about how the outcome of the game was dictated by Mother Nature. Now, at this period, Boston was suffering a year of very terrible thunderstorms and floods, and since the game with the Houston Rockets had happened in Boston, the reporter thought it was a good time to make a joke about it. The reporter said, quote, "So last year you visit Houston, game 3 there's no flood, you win. Game 4 there was a flood, you lose. This year you visit Houston, game 3 there's a flood, you lose. Game 4 there's no flood, you win." But Draymond was not ready to listen to the question as he immediately cut off the reporter. He went off on him and questioned his insensitivity towards the plight of Houston residents who actually had to live through the floods, and he even mentioned that this was an attempt by the reporter to trivialize the floods that had claimed the lives of residents. Fortunately, the reporter was fired. Well, that was great news. The 1991 Piston handshake boycott. Well, the court can get quite heated up after a game, as it is always a fight to win something or perhaps prove something. But in spite of the heat and differences, one thing is customary after the game, and that is the exchange of handshakes between the teams and coaches. However, in an intense game between the Detroit Pistons and Chicago Bulls in 1991, the exact opposite happened. The Pistons were one of the biggest teams in the Eastern Conference in 1989 and 1990. They had won back-to-back championships in both years and were easily the favorites. The Bulls, on the other hand, were a growing team, a team that had been gradually becoming better and better over the years and were pushing to dethrone the Pistons. Shocking the entire world, the Bulls dethroned the defending champions with a 4-game sweep. When the game finally ended, the Piston players walked out of the court past the bench of the Chicago Bulls without even making eye contact. It was a pretty awkward moment for the Bulls as they were ready for handshakes only to get ignored. Take a moment to think about how embarrassing and awkward that is. Nut grabber, watch out. Now, if you say we saved the best for last, you wouldn't be wrong. The NBA is no stranger to very unconventional styles of play. Players want the ball, and sometimes they will do the craziest things to get the advantage on the court. Some players use their elbows, while others use a tug of the shorts of other players. But the craziest one happened in 2006 when Reggie Evans grabbed the junk of Chris Kaman in the middle of a game. That is the perfect description of taking it too far, and the authorities would not take it lightly with Evans. He was awarded a flagrant foul for his assault of Kaman. He was also required by the NBA to pay a fine of $10,000 and assessed a flagrant 2. Kaman, who was the subject of the assault, said, quote, "He grabbed my nuts. This dude reached from behind me, grabbed my nuts and pulled them back towards. He tried to rip them off, basically. I couldn't believe it." Well, yeah, we still can't believe it either, Kaman. Another referee who was in the court during the game said that if he was the one who would have suffered that much, he would have knocked Reggie out immediately, right there in the middle of the game. Well, who wouldn't, ref? The only reason why Kaman didn't do it was because he still had a game to play, and an altercation in the middle of the game would have meant an ejection for Kaman. Fortunately, the event did not repeat itself, but the title of Nut Grabber is not bound to leave anytime soon. And with that, we wrap up this video. Thank you for watching.